There is a moment, still and sacred, when the soul whispers what the mind fears to hear. You are not whole. You are fractured. You are shadow and light in conflict, hiding from your own becoming. We spend lifetimes running from what is within. We construct masks of perfection, houses of false security, towers of ego and approval. But no matter how high we climb, the ground beneath always trembles with what we've buried: our grief, our rage, our shame, our unlived lives. The psalmist wrote, "If I make my bed in the depths, you are there." And yet we flee the depths. We chase the light, but it burns us, for we carry a night inside that we refuse to name. But the soul, it remembers. It remembers who you were before you forgot, before you became what the world needed instead of who you truly are. You were not born to be good. You were born to be whole, and wholeness demands a descent into the shadow, the wound, the wilderness. The shadow is not evil. The shadow is exiled truth. It is everything you've hidden to survive. It is every desire, every scream, every tear that was never allowed to fall. Carl Jung did not ask us to destroy the darkness. He asked us to hold its gaze, to look with sacred eyes upon the rejected self, because buried within the shadow is the key to your freedom, not despite the shadow, because of it. You were never meant to conquer the shadow. You were meant to love it into integration, to walk into the cave, like the psalm says, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil," because the shadow isn't death, it's rebirth. The ego, that mask we wear, that fragile self we defend, was only meant to protect the sacred inner child until the soul could take over. But we confuse protection with identity. We think the mask is who we are, and so we harden, we armor up. We become what Jung called possessed by the persona, a prisoner in the image we created. But the soul, the soul cannot breathe through masks. It was made for nakedness, for honesty, for the fierce truth of being. So life, in its divine orchestration, begins to crack our masks, through suffering, through failure, through the betrayals we swore we'd never endure. And in those cracks, something deeper begins to glow. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the prophet. It reveals what the surface cannot. The Proverbs say, "The spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all his innermost parts." To become whole is to become searched, to open the door to your innermost parts, and not flinch when you see what's there. You will meet your anger, your envy, your pride. You will see the monster you never wanted to believe lived within you, but you will also meet your buried innocence, the child you abandoned, the passion you suppressed, the purpose you betrayed for comfort. This is not about becoming better. It is about becoming real. It is about meeting every part of yourself at the altar of compassion and saying, "I see you. You are mine. You are not the enemy. You are the part of me that survived." The journey inward is not a straight line. It spirals. You will revisit the same wounds with new eyes. You will heal in layers, and each time, the shadow will become less frightening. Not because it grows smaller, but because you grow stronger. You begin to realize the shadow was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to get your attention, to tell you, you left parts of your soul behind. Come back for them. And this is individuation, not perfection, but integration. The holy act of becoming who you are beneath who you had to be. It is the slow, sacred remembering of your original wholeness. You begin to feel a shift. The voices of shame become whispers. The hunger for approval fades. You no longer need to be seen to feel real. You no longer seek light from others because you found it within. And that light, that quiet, steady flame, was hidden all along in the very place you feared to go. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The darkness does not destroy the light. It defines it. And now you understand. To become whole is not to erase the shadow, but to become the one who can carry both. There comes a moment when silence becomes a teacher, not an emptiness. It speaks without words. It invites without force. And in that silence you begin to feel it. The self. Not the self you've constructed, but the self that was never lost, only forgotten. Jung called it the center and the circumference, and the divine core of wholeness that holds your contradictions, the still point beneath your chaos. It does not scream. It does not push. It waits until you are ready to listen. And when you really listen, you hear not commandments but invitations. Come into your depth. Come into your fire. Come into the holy confusion of being human. This self is not what the world told you to become. It is not your career. It is not your fame. It is not your performance of goodness. It is your soul made visible, and it was born in you before you had a name. But to arrive there, truly arrive, you must first lose everything that is not real, every illusion, every identity that was bartered for love, every version of yourself crafted to survive in a broken world. The shedding will hurt. It will feel like death, because in many ways it is. But like the grain that falls into the ground and dies, it is not the end. It is a beginning. The psalm says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy." You will sow, you will weep, you will question if the night will ever end. But if you stay, if you endure the burning, the morning comes, not outside you, but within within, and when the self rises, it does not come with thunder. It comes with truth. You begin to see differently. People, once enemies, become mirrors. Wounds, once scars, become portals. Time slows. The ego no longer screams for attention because presence has replaced performance. You realize the world is not something to conquer. It is something to love, to serve, to reflect back the wholeness you fought to reclaim. This is the paradox of healing. You journey inward not to escape the world, but to return to it. Finally whole enough to be of service. You no longer need to dominate. You no longer need to prove. You have integrated the lion and the lamb within you. You have kissed the shadow and seen that it held your power all along, and so your presence changes. You walk differently. You speak with weight, not volume. You hold space because you have held yourself. You no longer shrink to make others comfortable, but neither do you expand to be admired. You simply are, rooted, honest, unshakable. There is a proverb that says, "The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out." You have become that one, the one with insight. Not because you memorized wisdom, but because you lived it. Your shadow is no longer your prison. It is your compass. It tells you where you split so you can return. It shows you where you were wounded so you can bless. It leads you through the valley so that when you rise not with fragments, but with fire. Now you are not just alive. You are awake. You are not just good. You are true. And truth has a weight that cannot be faked. It is the gravity of the soul, and it draws others not to your image, but to your essence. This is why we do the work. Not to build a tower, but to become a sanctuary, a living temple where the divine and the human are no longer enemies. You are that temple now. Every crack, every scar, every shadow made holy by the light you chose to bring into it. So the next time you feel the pull of darkness, don't run, don't numb, don't perform. Return, descend again, because every time you do, you will come back carrying more light. And the world is starving for that kind of light. Not the light of perfection, but the light that has bled, the light that has cried in silence, the light that has stared at the abyss and refused to look away. You are that light. You are the echo of every soul that dared to become whole. And now, it is your turn to guide others not with answers, but with presence, because there is no map for the soul's journey, only the courage to take the next step into the dark, trusting that the flame will find you, and it will. It always does. There are things in you still waiting to be seen, not by the eyes of others, but by the gaze of your own soul. The world has trained you to look outward, to compare, to chase, to win, but you cannot heal by outrunning yourself. You cannot awaken by chasing applause. You awaken by turning inward, by sitting still long enough for the truth to rise, and when it does, it will not flatter you. It will not feed your pride. It will undress you. That is how you know it is real. You will feel exposed. You will feel raw, but beneath that rawness is something incorruptible, the self that has never been touched by fear, shame, or time. It waited beneath the ego, beneath the trauma, beneath the noise, and now you are beginning to hear it. This is the great paradox. The closer you move toward your shadow, the more light you find, because the shadow is not a curse. It is a calling, a sacred messenger bearing the parts of yourself you exiled to be accepted. And now it asks only one thing: will you come back for me? You must understand, the self does not want perfection. It wants truth. It wants every broken piece returned with love, every abandoned fragment welcomed back with grace. The psalm says, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." But first you must bring him the wound. You must name the ache, feel the grief, touch the scar with reverence instead of hiding it behind pride. And when you do, when you finally stop running and sit with your shadow, you will see that it holds your gift, not in spite of the pain but through it, because in your fear you learned courage. In your silence, you learned to listen. In your sorrow you discovered the depth of your soul. You thought the darkness was the end, but it was the beginning. The dark night of the soul is not a punishment. It is an initiation, the alchemical fire that melts the false self and reveals the gold beneath. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is your task now, to make the darkness conscious, to walk through your inner ruins and not turn away, to find the divine in the dust, to look into the mirror and say, "I will no longer abandon myself." When you do this, truly do this, you awaken something ancient inside you. The archetypes stir. The warrior, the sage, the child, the mother, the outcast. All the voices you've tried to silence begin to speak, and what they say is not chaos. It is music. It is the song of your becoming. The ego tries to edit that song. It tells you which parts are allowed. It tells you what to hide, what to perform, what to suppress. But the self sings in full chords. It demands all of you. It does not want your cleaned up version. It wants your fire, your ache, your joy and your terror, your hunger for something real. That hunger, it is sacred. It is proof that your soul still remembers. So don't numb it. Don't bury it beneath distractions. Feed it. Feed it with silence, with honesty, with long walks into your interior, with stories that pierce pierce your armor and prayers that crack your pride. And as you walk deeper, you will come to a threshold. You will feel fear, because on the other side of that door is not who you should be, it is who you are. And stepping through that door means you must let go of old beliefs, of false identities, of the comfort that kept you small. But if you cross it, if you choose truth over ease, integrity over image, you will not become someone else. You will return to yourself. This is not reinvention, it is remembrance. You are not becoming light. You are revealing the light that has always lived inside your shadow. And now it's time. Time to stop searching for answers in the noise. Time to stop outsourcing your worth. Time to stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. You are the storm and the silence, the wound and the healer, the night and the dawn. You are not broken. You are becoming. And now, at the edge of this inner wilderness, you see it. Not a finish line, but a flame. Quiet, steady, ancient. It does not demand your worship. It does not beg to be noticed. It simply waits like it always has for you to return to what never left. This flame is the self, not the loud self, not the outer self, but the holy center. It is the part of you that watched through every storm, that whispered when you were too tired to fight, that knew, even when you didn't, that you were made for wholeness. And now you stand before it, not as a child begging for approval, not as a hero seeking a crown, but as a soul, naked and free. Because you have seen your shadow and you did not flinch. You wept, yes, you raged, yes. You fell to your knees in the valley, but you did not turn away. You walked into the fire and you found yourself waiting there. This is resurrection, not a myth, but a daily reality for those brave enough to die to illusion and rise into truth. You have done that. You have faced the dragon within, and now the gold is yours. Not gold you take, but gold you become. You carry it in your voice, in your eyes, in the way you forgive without forgetting who you are, in the way you love without losing yourself. This is what it means to be light, not flawless, but faithful, faithful to the calling, to the path, to the soul that kept whispering even when the world was deaf. You are no longer afraid of the dark, because you've learned that the dark is sacred. It's where the seed breaks open. It's where the chrysalis shatters. It's where God speaks in silence and where the true self begins to form. You are not just the healed. You are the healer now. Not because you have answers, but because you have presence. And presence is what transforms. It holds space for others to remember who they are, without force, without fear. That is your purpose now. Not to preach, but to embody. Not to lead from above, but to walk beside. Because the world does not need more performers. It needs witnesses. It needs those who have sat with their shadow and found the divine there. You are one of them now. A living testimony that truth is stronger than image, that soul is deeper than role, that wholeness is more powerful than perfection. So live it. Live it in how you rise, in how you speak with intention, in how you no longer betray your own knowing. Live it in how you love, not from hunger but from overflow. Live it in how you stay, when it would be easier to flee, when the silence is loud, when the ache returns. Stay, because now you know, the shadow is not your enemy. It is the birthplace of your light, and this journey, it never truly ends. It only deepens. With each descent, with each wound you refuse to abandon, with each moment of brutal honesty, you become more real. You become more whole. You become a mirror for those still afraid of the dark. So walk on, not because you've arrived, but because you are becoming. Because the flame within is steady now and it will guide you. And when the night comes again, as it will, you will not tremble. You will not hide. You will remember. The light is not out there. The light is not in others. The light is not something you earn. The light is hidden in your shadow. And now, you've found it.